People think QE is Federal Reserve print money, Federal Reserve print money to buy US Treasury bonds. Price goes up, Treasury bonds, yields come down. But this is another way of doing it. It's more sneaky. It's a dirty little trick. The Federal Reserve is doing some sort of QE, right? And you may not know, looking at the price of Bitcoin, it's down, like right now still down 35% from the top. But like the US Federal Reserve, as I explained yesterday, is doing all these swaps, these currency swaps with other countries, like UAE, for example. My prediction is we're going to see UAE is a new nation added to the swaps. There are, I think, 9 nations already doing swaps before the UAE was added. Sorry, it's 13 countries, and this is really important because it's 14 countries. So basically, Bank of Canada, Bank of England, Bank of Japan, the ECB, European, and the Swiss National Bank, European Central Bank, and 9 temporary, what they call temporary participants. And these, so that means these 5, right, are what they call standing participants. And that's the big trick I told you guys about yesterday. And this has got everything to do with Bitcoin, with gold, silver, which I'll get onto in a sec, right? Because if the US dollar does QE, the Federal Reserve does QE, right, then everything pumps. So like the look at this, Canada, right? Japan, Switzerland, UK, European Union. European Union covers like what? There's 24 countries or 19 countries in the European Union, right? That's a lot of countries. Basically all the rich countries, except China, right? Like you might include India in that because it's India and China together. The people are not rich on average, but together they're big. So that covers basically everybody. And they do this with basically all their allies. And now they've just introduced this for UAE as well. And the countries say to them, but I need US dollars. They say, okay, here's a real simple way of doing this. Why don't you hand us the piece of paper you print, the called the euro or the British pound or the Japanese yen. You hand us a piece of paper, we'll hand you US dollars, right? It doesn't cost anything to either of them because they just printed money. Both of them just print it, right? So once they do that exchange, then the countries like UAE or European Central Bank or the British Central Bank, Bank of England, don't need to sell US Treasury bonds anymore to get the US dollars. US 10-year Treasury yields, it's already spiking like this. That's pretty bad. And that's after the US is giving out US dollars, swapping US dollars, giving out US dollars to countries like UAE and those 14 other countries. Right? Imagine if they weren't doing that. If they weren't doing that, US 10 years and 30 years would crash, and this yield would be like boom, would be like way up. It would be like boom, would be like up here. Before I answer those questions, first let's answer the question of which crypto exchange does Pablo Jimenez use? Well, Pablo uses exchange that's non-KYC. That means you don't need to show any ID. That means even the exchange can't see who you are, right? So the exchange can't see you, the IRS can't see you, the tax office can't see who you are, FBI, CIA, nobody can see you, total privacy. That's why Pablo made this exclusive trading competition with them, trade and win up to $9,000, right? Only a few days more to go. Limited time only. Folks are already off and running trading. And look at this. You don't have to be in the top 30. You just have to be in the top 60 of the public competition, not the whole exchange-wide competition, just a small public competition to win a prize. This is one of maybe 2 exchanges out there that I use, we can see, right? Basically, that has all these commodities and cryptos tokenized. So they've tokenized oil, gold, Bitcoin, right? Other than Bitcoin, Solana, like gold, silver, platinum, palladium, oil, copper, natural gas, uranium, all the things that Pablo loves to talk about and trade, right? So because they're bullish right now, they're in a bull market. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, then the link is in the description below. The link is in the description below. But if you're watching it on a different platform, such as this one, that's okay. Just go and click on my profile page. And here's my Stan link or Linktree. We'll click on that. Should be the first thing that pops up. On other platforms, that's just go to my profile page, click on my Stan link. Should be the first thing that pops up because this is a great deal, right? Okay, let's get back to the markets, folks. And just remember, this great deal is only available on the Pablo Jimenez link. Only available on the public human link for a limited time only. Europe has been wielding this as a weapon. Remember how when Trump wanted to take Greenland, he still does. Trump's Greenland play puts Europe's 8 trillion US bonds into jeopardy, right? Basically, they hold $8 trillion of US Treasury bonds. And they said, Europe says they can wield an $8 trillion sell America weapon, right? Like this was talked about in January earlier this year, because Europe kept on saying, look, if you try to take over Greenland, the word they use is invade. If you invade Greenland, right? If you take over Greenland, however you want to say it, we'll sell the $8 trillion US Treasury bonds. And they know how bad this is. They know this is a weapon. They know the Fed is very desperate. And so in order to prevent this from happening, they basically go, well, don't sell any treasury bonds. If you ever need US dollars, we'll just print the money. We'll swap the US dollars. You just give us some euros or British pounds or Japanese yen. And that's easy for you, buddy, because you just print it, right? No one can stop you. You just print it and we print it, right? So it doesn't show up. They help each other out, and it never has to show up on the US Treasury bonds market, right? Eventually, that's why I call this a end of empire top, because the next top in the stock market, the next crash, whether that's 6 to 9 months from now, whether that's a year from now, say if I get the timing wrong, and it say plays out 1.5 years from now, 2 years from now, it will still be an end of empire top, because the weakness has been papered over. The weakness in imagine if a building has a lot of termites, and this building is teetering, it's about to collapse. And then we say, hey, people, don't move out of the building. Don't move out of the building, right? Don't make us look bad. We will get some plasters, get some workers in there and plaster over the walls so you can't see the termite holes. But the building is still full of termite holes. It's still teetering. And the people are still living there. Like Europe has $8 trillion left in there. And we know how this goes. One day it's going to be like a domino, boom, something happens and it all collapses, right? Silver, Bitcoin, or gold. Which one's going to save you? That's been the big debate. My instincts are when the big collapse comes, right? I could get the timing wrong. But look, you know how in the movie The Big Short with Michael Burry, in The Big Short, you've seen the movie, right? He spends the whole time basically agonizing because he called it too early, because he called it at the right time, and the market just won't reflect the reality. Remember the ratings agencies, the Moody's and the SP5, Standard & Poor's, they just keep on delaying it. They just keep on saying, oh, there's no problem. There's no problem with the US property market. There's no problem with the US property market. Like it's the same thing here. Basically, this was the movie, right? We all remember he agonized throughout all those 2 or 3 years. He called it 2 or 3 years early. He called it the right time, in my opinion. He said the U.S. property market is in trouble, just like I'm saying the U.S. Treasury market is in trouble right now. But we saw in the movie, go back and watch the movie, and basically all the big institutions says there's no problem, and they keep on delaying adjusting the U.S. Treasury, not the U.S. Mortgage bonds, right, to junk bond status. And this is what they're doing as well. The US Treasury bond, they're playing a delayed tactic on it as well. Like it's should no longer be rated AAA. In fact, it should be like a lot worse. But they don't do that, right? They keep on delaying it using all these dirty tricks. And with silver, like they export the silver from US. UK imports it. Why does UK imports it? Because the LBMA, London Bullion Metals Association, right, largest gold silver trading market in the world, imports 600 tons from the US last month, right? These are all the other countries, dwarfs all the other countries. And then what they do, they export it to one country. The import of the largest gold and precious metals exchange in the world imports all the silver from one country, that's the US, and they export it to one country, Hong Kong. That's a gateway for China, right? Pretty much 90% of it just goes to China. And silver is a critical metal as well for the US. They've listed that. So basically, when the big collapse comes, I could be too early in my call, like that Michael Berry guy. But when the time comes, basically, I make sure I'm holding some gold and some silver. And silver's already gone up like 7x in the last 1.5 years. So it wasn't too early for my call at all. Like, I mean, the collapse, the end of empire top hasn't happened yet, but I made sure I bought enough silver back when it was low. I didn't catch the bottom, but I bought a lot 3-4x lower. Okay, catch you guys next episode.
$8 trillion is sitting in foreign hands. The Fed is plastering over the cracks, but the building is still full of termites. When the dominoes fall, you'll want to be holding the right asset. Stay sharp, stay positioned, and join the community. Link below.